On this episode number 778 of Into Your Head podcast, the following items and issues are dealt with in the following manner. Today's episode of Into Your Head podcast, hello. It starts here, I suppose. It all starts here. This is where it all gets going. This is like the prelude before. This is like the calm before the storm, or the calm in the middle of because there's a calm in the middle of a storm as well. In fact, there's a calm in the middle of a storm, and there's a calm before a storm, and there's a calm after a storm. You'd be forgiven for thinking that a storm wasn't a big deal at all. All these calms that are involved in it, there's more calm than storm, as far as I can see. A storm is just a load of bollocks, if we're honest. A storm is just, basically it's a storm in a teacup. And people don't even use teacups anymore, not modern societies anyway. The young people all use their big paper cups with lids on them that they cram coffee into, or when they're at home they use a big Disney mug or something. They don't use tea. People don't use teacups. No. The only time I use a teacup is to put a mashed boiled egg into. You get a couple of boiled eggs and you put them in the teacup with the shell off, and you put some butter and salt in, and then you mash it, and then you shovel it down your mouth. You shovel it down your gob like there's no tomorrow, and you digest it, and then you churn it up in your digestive system, and then you excrete the unwanted bits, or maybe you want them, but your system unilaterally decides that it doesn't. Oh, there's a cash going out along the cash interstate superhighway wall. It's either Kofi the second, or come to think of it might be Jodie. It might be Annie too. Annie is out and about again. She's fully recovered from her surgery. She's back to a normal cat. She's doing normal cat stuff, just like everybody else is. Nothing to see here. Don't look over here. That's from another podcast, isn't it? Don't look over here. Nothing to see here. Hey, look at that. I believe that's from the No Agenda podcast. So let's not be stealing material, because that's illegal. It's illegal to steal material, especially if it's what you call it, if it's intellectual property, or if it's stuff, if it's real stuff in real life, like for example, materials such as, for example, wool or cotton, or any kind of fabric, or any kind of, sugar or foodstuffs, or materials. A material can be pretty much anything. A material can be material that you content material that artistic people come up with, or it could be the material that artistic people draw their stuff on, or it could be the very fabric of the space-time continuum, although you don't hear much about that being stolen. I don't think they've even decided who it belongs to yet. They've divvied up the moon, all right. You can go up to the moon with a flag and say, this bit belongs to me. But no, the rest of the space-time continuum, they haven't got round to that yet. I suppose there's plenty. You could say there's all the time in the world to do that. There's infinite time and space in which to get that all sorted. It's not a problem at all. Anyway, we've a lot to get on with today. Items that need to be attended to, issues that need to be addressed, a new musical gadget to add to my collection. But I don't want to just crowbar it in at the beginning of the show here, just like this. So I'm going to put it aside with my harmonica, and whenever we feel the need for a musical gadget to accompany the dialogue here, that's when it'll be introduced. A natural point in the proceedings, because I don't want to patronise my new musical gadget, was sent in by. More of that another time when it's natural, when it comes up naturally. Because this is an unscripted program. I have no idea what's going to come next. For all I know, in the next 5 seconds, there could be a natural juncture at which it's appropriate to use my new musical gadget. But let's assume there probably won't be. And let's proceed as accordingly. Anyway, we've a lot to get on with today. Items that need to be attended to, issues that need to be addressed, topics. Oh, topics. We've got lots and lots of topics. We're positively booming to the seams with topics. We've got topics coming out of this synthesizer. This synthesizer I just received recently, sent to me by my friend Jerry in California. He sent me this. Look, I have a new musical gadget. Basically it does this. It's got knobs on it. It's got a little keyboard on it. You can adjust the pitch and all sorts of other things. You can adjust the mode and the VCF and the other thing. You can turn the volume up and down. You basically do this. I can accompany myself on the harmonica now. Hold on a minute. Absolutely fucking fantastic. Oh, and have the bongos as well. I can accompany myself on the bongos, although I'd have to put either the synthesizer or one of the bongos in my mouth to accompany myself. So I can accompany myself on the synthesizer and the harmonica, or the bongos and the harmonica, or the harmonica and the bongos, but not the synthesizer and the bongos. I don't have enough hands to do that, unfortunately. So it's a bit like you could replace this. You could use this as a modern day replacement for that old game, hand, scissors, paper. Because you could just go harmonica, bongos, keyboard, synthesizer thing, and I draw out my synthesizer and someone else would draw out their bongos, and that would be considered a draw, because you can't play both your synthesizer and the bongos at the same time. But if the other person drew out their harmonica and I drew out my synthesizer, that would be, well, we'd both win then, because you can play your harmonica and run your synthesizer at the same time. So it probably wouldn't be a good replacement for rock, paper, scissors. It would be an alternative, though, a more positive alternative where nobody loses, because that's the modern trend these days. They don't like negativity with children nowadays. If you're a teacher, you don't put big red X marks on things that are incorrect. Oh no, you say, here's a better idea that would be even more correct than that, or something like that. I don't know the exact details. I'm not a details person. I'm an ideas person. What am I doing here? I don't know. Anyway, suffice to say, new musical instrument. Did I mention that? Here we go. It does this. I'm still learning the exact details of how to operate it, but that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing with it. At natural times during the proceedings, I'll be doing that. Anyway, hello and welcome to the show. Once upon a time, there was a dog. Basically a French dog, not a Shainne. I know some of you smart horses who know a bit of the French language are thinking, oh, you mean a French dog, you mean a Shainne. No, it was still a dog. The fact that it's French doesn't mean you have to say it in French. My name comes from the Irish Neal. It doesn't mean you go around calling me Neal all the time. If you did, you'd confuse me with my uncle, who does call himself Neal all the time. He does that to distinguish himself from other people, because that's the purpose of a name. The whole purpose of a name is to distinguish yourself from other people, and the whole purpose of naming a species in English is so that people know what the fuck you're talking about without having to learn another language. Don't be putting in bits of French into your language, unless you're talking to a French person, of course. If you're talking to a French person, of course, you'd say it all in French. You'd say say, salut, esquilia ora un... I don't remember any French. I learned French from about the age of 13 to about the age of 17, about 5 years in total. I learned absolutely fuck all. I think I was forced to read a novel called Maigret, some sort of detective novel. Didn't understand a fucking word of it. The teacher came up to me and says, hello, read this. It's in French. This is French class, so you should be well able to read it. If you read this from cover to cover, then you'll know all the French you'll ever need to know, which is true. I do know all the French I'll ever need to know. It's just that all the French I'll ever need to know is zilch, absolute zilch. Nil pont. What's that? Nil ponce. Oh no, is that Spanish? I don't know. Anyway, I know fuck all. I know fuck all French. I know a bit of Irish, all right. Because you're force-fed Irish from this country from the age of 5 until you leave school. So I can speak a bit of Irish. I can say, Cén fó gorilla, Cén fó atá an gorilla ag dausa leis an cat má sé de holle agus anhfuil cadagum dulgadí an leharras. And all you foreigners are listening, you say, oh, that sounds beautiful. That's a beautiful language. I wonder what it means. Well, what I just said means, why is the gorilla dancing with the cat? And do I have permission to go to the toilet, please? But I know, I'm sure it sounds very beautiful to you. French, I'm sure, sounds very beautiful to most ignoramuses who don't see through it like that. They probably think it sounds fantastic. But I'll bet you if you learned a bit of French and you translated what those French people are talking about all the time, you'd find that's just all cats and gorillas and requests to go to the toilet as well. That's all they say. They say the same stuff over there as we say over here. It's just it sounds mysterious because we don't understand it, because the grass is always greener on the other side. And then you go over to the other side and you look back and you say, oh look, there's green. The grass over there has gone more green. And you go back over there and then you look back over to France and you think, Christ, their grass is greener now. Maybe it's a trick of the light, or not necessarily a trick. It's not a trick. The light isn't trying to trick you. The light isn't conscious of what effect it's having on you. It's just being itself and getting on with its life. The light isn't trying to do anything to you at all. It's just existing. It's just existing in the same universe as you, minding its own business. The fact that it has an effect on you is not conscious. It doesn't know what it's doing. It doesn't care. Well, it doesn't even not care. Neither cares nor not cares. Light is not a conscious being. It's not like that frigging Star Trek thing where they have a holographic emergency doctor, and even him, he's only used in emergencies. Like, for example, when you're trapped in a spin-off series called Voyager, where they're all stuck at the other side of the galaxy and they need an emergency doctor. And even then, it's a load of bollocks. So don't go getting ideas into your head about grass in France. That's all I'm saying. What's the French for grass, I wonder? Here's a question for you. Let's type it into a search engine here and see what it says. What is the French word for grass? Well, I hope they don't think I'm looking for Oh, it's herb. Herbe, as in herb. I presume it's pronounced herb. Herb. All these nations are very confused about the pronunciation of herb. You Americans call them herbs. I remember going over to America in the early 2000s or late 1990s, and I noticed a program on the radio where there's a lunatic on a Saturday night talking a lot about herbs and natural remedies and stuff, and he used to say herbs without the H. He'd say herb. Look at me, I'm on top of all fitness and nutrition, but I can't pronounce the letter H, or else I can't pronounce it. I choose not to because I think I'm great. I think, the H, we don't need consonants in America. We skip straight to the E. We go herb. Well, the joke's on you, because in France they pronounce it. Although now that I think about In France, they probably do pronounce it herb. So in America, you're unwittingly speaking French without even knowing about it. You're being tricked. That's how the French got into Canada. You go up to Canada now. If you go to the wrong city by mistake, you end up surrounded by French-speaking people. I went to Montreal once. The night before September the 11th happened, I landed in Montreal. I went into a hotel, French-speaking part of Canada, and then the next morning 9/11 happened. I should have known because I turned up on 9/10 or 10/9, as us normal people say. Us normal people say dates the correct way around, and we don't fucking leave out consonants. That's all her crap that happens. Stop doing things incorrectly, foreigners. Do them. Follow our lead. We've a fine language here. We've got our dates written. So we write from left to right, and we write forwards. You put your day first, then your month, then your year. It makes complete fucking sense. If you're putting your month and then your day and then your year, that's putting the cart before the horse, and then putting the back end of the horse in front of its own face. It'd be done for animal cruelty if you did that out in the real world, but no, because you're just writing down a date as considered perfectly normal. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Two cats walk into a bar. One of the cats goes straight up to the bar counter and says, "Hello, can I have a pint of your finest Bailey's cream on the rocks, please, with coffee in it?" And the man behind the bar says, "I think you're a bit confused there, sir. Do you want a Bailey's Irish cream on the rocks, or do you want a Bailey's coffee with rocks of sugar in it? Maybe that's what you were thinking. Although that seems a bit unnecessary, if you don't mind me saying so. If you're making Bailey's coffee, you do not need sugar in it. It's sweet enough as it is. As my wife likes to say, no, thank you, I don't need sugar. I'm sweet enough as it is. Ho, 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 ho." Oh, that one never gets old, I can tell you. Well, only in comparison to me. She'll always be 5 years younger than me, but she will get old at some point. So, saying that one never gets old is a bit of a miss. What do you call it? It's a miss. What's that thing they called? It's a misnomer, something like that, something along those lines. Anyway, do you want a pint of Baileys? Is it? And the cat says, "Oh, pint of Baileys would be lovely, thank you." And the barman says, "I'll bet it would. You almost snuck one past me there. No, not giving you a pint of Baileys because it's a short. They don't sell it in pints. If I sold Baileys in pints, I can tell you, I'd have to charge. Oh, I'd have to charge what? Well, I'd probably charge a specific price for it, based on the price of a pint of Baileys, which would be close to the price of a medium bottle of Baileys, which in a supermarket I think is between 13 and 21 euros, depending on whether it's on special offer. Then of course I'd have to add my markup, so I'd say a pint of Baileys, if I were to sell it, would be about 28 euros, I'd say, on a good day. And the cat says, "Well, I'll have one of them, so." And the barman says, No, I was just theorising. I don't actually sell pints of Baileys." And the cat says, "Why not? You have a bottle there. That's a fairly big bottle. You could get a pint out of that. And I'm pretty damn sure you have pint glasses. And I don't need ice. So just shove me a pint of Baileys into a glass there and charge me accordingly. It's okay, I've got money. I know I'm a cat, but I've got money." I don't know why I should have to stress that. Every creature that comes into your bar by definition has money. Although that's not true. That doesn't make any sense. Well, it may well be true. It doesn't make any sense though. So there's no way of verifying whether it's true or not. In order to verify whether something is true or not, it would need to make sense first, so you can figure out what I'm trying to assert before you can decide whether it's correct or not. Yeah, you can't decide whether I'm correct in an assertion before you figured out what is it I'm trying to assert. Anyway, pint of Baileys, please. And the man behind the bar says, "Go on, you talked me into it. Pint of your finest Baileys, please." And the cat says, "No, I'm asking you for a pint of Baileys." And the barman says, "I thought we were doing things differently today. I thought you established I thought you established A, by being a talking cat, and B, by ordering a pint of Baileys. I thought you had established and set down the ground rules for this situation, that we're not doing things the normal way. And the cat says, I suppose you have a pint there. A pint of Baileys. Ho, 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 ho. And the barman says, oh, look, turns out I do. I think I must have just absent-mindedly poured this out in response to your order. Well, I'll have this, so how much do I owe you? And the cat says, that'll be €29, please. And the barman gives the cat €29. And the cat says, oh, thank you very much. Think I'll buy myself a pint of Baileys with this. Could I have a pint of Baileys, please? And the barman says, certainly, sir, here you go. I just happen to have one ready here. It's almost as if I anticipated your order. And the cat says, thank you very much. €27, is it? And the barman says, it is indeed. And the cat gives him €27 and says, look, I seem to have made €2 profit out of this arrangement somehow. I think it's because you were being a smart horse. And the barman says, you're right there. I've lost out on that now. I should have been more professional. That's taught me a valuable lesson, I can tell you. It was well worth the €2 loss it's cost me. And the cat says, I'm glad you're able to see it like that. And the barman says, you are indeed, of course you are, because you profited from it. And the cat says, exactly right. And a great night is had by all. Now, I know what you're thinking there. You're thinking, oh, that's interesting now. That's very interesting. What he's doing there now, it's very interesting. It's almost, I'd say, beyond interesting in a way. Although, now that I've thought about it, I've used up a lot of the interestingness value. So that's not to say it's not still interesting, but I've used up all. It's like if you got a car and I've used the car now. I've used up all the petrol, but then if you could somehow give the car to someone else and it's automatically full of petrol again, and they get their go again, and they get to use up all their petrol. Well, I've used up all the interestingness petrol on that for me, but somebody else might get some value out of it still, because that's how the second-hand goods market works. One man's only not very interested in it anymore thing is another man's, oh, that's new and interesting to me. I know it's old and used, but to me it's new, and I'll get some value out of that. Because that's basically how the world works. We don't really understand value, if we're honest. Value is not a thing where you just start off, something's got 100% of value, and then it goes down like a clock, runs out, and then it's gone. No, value is a movable feast. Different people get different value out of different things. You might think you're bored of that cat, but you might find someone who likes cats more than you do, and they'll squeeze a bit more value out of it. That's how it works. Anyway, oh yes, you're thinking, I know, oh, no, you're thinking, oh, that's interesting now, what he's doing there. He's gone, you know what, I know what you're thinking there, you're thinking, and then he's got 2 minutes and 3 seconds out of that, although he's backing out at the beginning. I think he's run out of steam there. He'll probably have to start a new segment any minute now, unless he finds a new direction for this, because there's only so much you can get out of that. Unless you break into song, perhaps. Unless you get out your new synthesizer and you break into song and you go, something. But if you do that, you start to sound ridiculous. That's what you're thinking, and you'd be largely right about that.
You're listening to
the Into Your Head podcast
from Ireland with your humble proprietor, Neal.
Follow Neal at twitter.com/intoyourheadpod and pretend to like him at facebook.com/intoyourheadpodcast.
Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats and stuff.
Are you a cat? Or do you know somebody who might be? Then tell yourself about Matchstick Cats, Neal's webcomic. Brand new episodes at intoyourhead.com.
monkey nuts. That's what they call them. They call them big, steaming, shit-eating, piss-piling, synthesizer playing. Do monkey nuts play synthesizer? They probably don't, but they probably get. That doesn't mean they can't get cold monkey nut playing monkey nut. No, synthesize playing. I seem to have be having difficulty multitasking at the moment, possibly because I'm new to this synthesizer. It's not like the harmonica, which I can play in my sleep. I could easily talk at the same time as playing my harmonica, except I can't because it will be in my mouth. But with the synthesizer, though, it's a whole different kettle of fish. Haven't yet mastered the art of playing the synthesizer while talking without getting distracted. So it may as well be in my mouth and gagging me if I'm going to do it like that. Don't worry, we'll get the hang of it eventually. Maybe if I was talking about something relevant to the synthesizer, then it will be easier. But we'll master that. We'll master that as we go along. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, monkey nuts. That's what they call them. They call them big shit-eating, steam monkeying scissors taking out of the cup holder thing. I'm going to cut my fingernails while I'm here. I might as well. I always cut my fingernails here in the podcast studio for no other reason than this is where I keep my scissors. I keep my scissors here. I may as well get fingernail cuttings all over the place because I get hair cuttings all over the place in here as it is. This is where I cut my hair, so I may as well cut my fingernails. This is where I cut off body parts like there's no tomorrow. If I was into performing surgery on myself, I'd probably do it in here. Although I wouldn't, because it's not necessarily sterile. This room, I don't keep this room particularly clean. There's been coffee spilt all over the place. Hairs everywhere. There's probably cat piss in here somewhere. I don't know. I don't really worry about the cleanliness in here too much, and neither should you. There's no reason for you to worry about it. There's no reason at all. It's not a TV studio. You don't have to look at it. You just have to listen to it. And if you can hear dirt in this room, then that just means the audio equipment is of particularly high quality. And that's something to be praised about. You should put that in your review when you review this podcast on iTunes, as far as I'm concerned. So there you go. Hope that clears everything up. I know what you're thinking there. You're thinking, what day is it? You're thinking, I wonder what day is it? Maybe I could find out by just thinking about it. I'll think about it now. Oh, it's Tuesday. That's what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, it's Tuesday. There's a 1 in 7 chance that you're correct about that. But that's only by good luck, because there's so many Tuesdays in the average year that there's almost a 1 in 7 chance that you'll be correct just by saying any day that comes to mind. But there's also a near 100% chance that you just know what day it is anyway. So if you look at that, there's pretty much a 99.999999 recurring percent chance that you're correct. The only thing that could go wrong is if you make an accidental slip of the tongue and say the wrong day by mistake, or you've had some sort of accident that's damaged your brain through no fault of your own, or maybe it is through your own fault, but that doesn't mean you deserve it to happen to you. Just because you had an accident that you caused by yourself, that doesn't mean I'm going to come down on you like a ton of bricks and say you brought that on yourself, shame on you. No, it's perfectly reasonable. What else? The other possibility is that you just don't know what day it is because you've been on a around the world flight, a series of flights or a voyage, and you've lost track of whether you've crossed the international date line or not, or maybe you've intentionally decided to stay on the day of whatever the day is in your destination. You decided to adjust your watch at the beginning of the flight in an attempt to beat jet lag, and you've decided, I'm going to find out what day it is in the place where I'm travelling to, and it's Tuesday there now. You've forgotten though that it's going to be Wednesday by the time you arrive there, so you're going to be a day behind already when you get there. So you've done that incorrectly. I can see your reasoning though. It's just a slightly faulty calculation. That's the only small problem there. Only a tiny little problem. So anyway, yes, you're thinking, oh, it's Tuesday, and you'd be largely right about that. It is Tuesday as I record this, although 20 minutes of this program were recorded on Monday evening. So there's a good chance that, no, it's not a good, well, it's nothing good about it. It's a bad chance. It's just the fact that there's a high possibility of something being the case doesn't mean that it's good. You can say, people say there's a good chance that it's Tuesday. What if Tuesday is a horrible day? Then you say there's a bad chance that it's Tuesday. That's what you'd say. Well, of course, then people will say you're being too confusing. You should dumb down your language and just say there's a good chance of it being Tuesday, or there's a good chance of us all dying today. Call it a good chance, because if you say bad chance, you'll confuse people. That's what they'll say. That's why people come on the news now and they talk to you like you're a 3-year-old, because they're afraid to go up above the lowest common denominator in terms of intellect, because they're all morons apparently. Every single one of us watching the news is a moron who doesn't even want to watch the news, so they disguise it as something else. They don't even call it the news anymore on TV3. They call it the 5:30. They say hello and welcome to the 5:30. You say the 5:30 what? And they'll say nothing. It's just the 5:30, nothing to see here. It's just a programme that comes on at 5:30 after 2 episodes of Judge Judy and just before some stupid fucking entertainment showbiz news thing. Of course, they're allowed to say news in that because they put in the word showbiz. It's showbiz news. They don't just call it the showbiz. But if it's real news, they call it the 5:30. It's the hello and welcome to the 5:30. Coming up later in the programme, after we've got 8 minutes of vaguely relevant news out of the way. Don't worry, after that we're going to have some light-hearted weather forecasting. There's a man who does the weather and he comes out on and he wishes happy birthday to people while he's pointing at clouds on the map of Ireland to try and entertain the masses, because we're all morons basically. It's hardly the television station's fault that we're all morons. It is, however, their fault that they negotiated badly and got themselves locked into a broadcasting contract that requires them to do public service news broadcasting to their ignorant people who don't want to watch it. That's their fault. Anyway, there now follows a classic newspaper review from a year or two ago. These things never go out of fashion. Newspaper reviews are like Mozart and Beethoven. They're classical. They remain popular forever. That's certainly what I'm hoping, because these take a long time to write and you have to fucking use them more than once to get some value out of them. Anyway, here's Shainne Greoige.
I'm Shainne Greoige with an eyewitness report on the content of this morning's newspapers. We begin with today's edition of The Star, which reports that Dublin firefighters have been forced to issue an apology after failing to attend the scene where a cat was stuck in a tree. The incident was given low priority because it was not part of the fire brigade's core activity. However, it has since emerged that both the tree and the cat were on fire. The ISPCA has declined to comment, saying that firefighters and cats are a law unto themselves. A spokesperson went on to say that this does not count as a comment, and that neither does this. The Examiner's front page headline reads, "Abolish one-way streets or lose your bailout," screams EU finance chief. There's also a striking colour photo of a child building a sandcastle out of snow with the caption, "That's it, that's all the summer you're getting."
I'm Shainne Greoige's understudy with with a brief article that she forgot to read. She skipped over it, presumably because a cat was climbing on her lap at the time. Anyway, the Sunday Business Post has an in-depth interview with Ryanair boss Michael O'Leary, a week after the budget airline revealed plans to charge passengers a transportation fee for travelling on its aircraft. A characteristically outspoken O'Leary slams what he calls Ryanair culture, whereby people are happy to fork out their hard-earned cash to pay supplementary charges for sandwiches, in-flight entertainment and extra luggage that isn't even theirs, but balk at the prospect of paying just to travel somewhere on what he calls magical flying horses and carriages, which in previous civilisations would have been worshipped as gods.
Meanwhile, the UK version of the Irish edition of The Times of London goes with public water supply to become fully isotonic by 2018. The Daily Mirror reveals that Irish boy band Westlife are to be split into 5 spin-off groups. Manager Louis Walsh hopes that the move, inspired by the reproductive system of the amoeba, will spawn the growth of 5 fully developed Westlives. The paper also reports that Pope Francis is about to publish his first encyclical, in which he will call for a return to traditional values of pounds, shillings and pence. The Irish Independent, meanwhile, reports that bus drivers are once again threatening all-out strike action. This time, the dispute revolves around an alleged dirty tricks campaign by public transport management. The union claims that rear-view mirrors are being surreptitiously replaced with half of mirrors-style trick glass in an attempt to erode driver self-esteem. The Minister for Transport has expressed deep disappointment at the state of the world in general. The Herald, formerly the Evening Herald, has announced plans for Herald Plus One, making out-of-date editions of the newspaper available the following day at a reduced price. Journalists at the paper have slammed the move, branding it a step backward. In other newsprint industry news, today's Irish Times leads with a front-page editorial about yesterday's Irish Times, which contained a scathing report alleging that there's a culture of wastage and duplication of work at the Irish Times. The newspaper strenuously denies the charges. Meanwhile, free tabloid Metro AM has indicated that it intends to publish its entire newspaper on billboards every morning in high population areas. I'm Shainne Greoige, and that's what the newspapers would look like today if you were to purchase an abridged audiobook edition of each one. Don't forget to join me tonight on television for Shainne Spouts, when I'll be asking whether illegal drugs should be banned. But for now, a very good evening to you.
I've always been a great believer in the dictum. You should have adjusted the height of this microphone before you started recording. You don't need to record adjustments. No. If you are recording adjustments, you would need to do the adjustment before you start recording, so you'd be recording them properly. And then you'd start a fucking hole in the space-time. Well, you wouldn't start a hole in the space-time continuum. That's nonsense. That's just an analogy for the cock-up that you'd have made of whatever you're trying to achieve here. Suffice to say, if you want to record yourself making a mess of everything, by all means do it as I just did. But it's far more professional to do your adjustments before you start recording. I say that for my own benefit as much as for anyone else's. I hope I'm listening to myself here and taking note. Do your adjustments before you start recording, and don't be foostering with the microphone like this. Foostering like an amateur, like some sort of amateur podcaster. You don't want to sound like an amateur podcaster who's sitting in your spare bedroom with your hair clippings and toenail clippings all over the floor, and needing a piss any minute now, and wondering will you go out and do the shopping and then and come back and finish this, or will you get it done while you're still caffeined up? No. Don't be unprofessional. Be professional. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say to myself. Be professional, me. Are you listening to this? You probably are. If you're listening to this, give me a signal. Edit it incorrectly as a signal. Do that during the listening process. I don't know, but edit in the cough or something, and that'll be a signal to the listener that you heard yourself and took note of this, because otherwise there's no way of knowing. That's the only way of knowing whether the me of the future is listening to this, is to get me to put in something to confirm it later. So if you don't mind, me of the future, butt in here with a cough or something. Hello, this is the me of the future. As requested by the me of the past, I'm hereby confirming that I've heard and noted the advice of me of the past as regarding not doing your microphone adjustments while recording. I heard and noted that advice, but I must say I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it at all. I think part of the charm of an amateur podcast is to have little errors like that and imperfections in it. Although now that I think about it, when you've done 778 episodes of this, it should be less amateur, surely. Well, it is less amateur compared to the early episodes. The early episodes sound like shit, and this just sounds like piss, which is a huge improvement. You've gone from a number 2 to a number 1, or is it the other way around? Which one is a number 2 and which is a number 1? You get the general idea anyway. Me of the past, I disagree with you now, but I've hereby complied with your request to interrupt and put in a signal here that I've heard and noted what you said. And now at this point, you probably expect me to hand back to you the me of the past, but that's physically impossible without time travel, so I suppose I have to take over here now. There's no way of handing back to the me of the past. You asked me to interrupt you, and I did interrupt you, but I can't hand back to you, so I've just taken over. I bet you didn't see that coming. No, you fucking didn't. You made a fucking hames of that, you fucking idiot. Anyway, good morning.